Welcome to Countdown to Infinity. You cracked open a can of Bud Light right there. That's not, what is that, a LaCroix?
You know what month
LaCroix?
It's like a I don't know, what is it? Like a sparkling water.
We were just talking about sparkling waters for
the fucking Coors
a while.
Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, but really we talk about everything Marvel. I feel like we also did a Snyder Cut episode, but maybe we didn't. So we just talk about
the multiverse. It's a multiverse.
Everything, we're in it. We're in the multiverse, baby.
Revenge of the sequel, you probably did.
Yeah.
Right? Well, for Snyder Cut.
Maybe. We all cross over sometimes.
Yeah, I got confused on what podcast this was for a second, actually. Just looking up at the corner there, I was like, oh, that's right.
This is your first episode, you're like, wow, a minute into the Marvel Spider-Verse podcast, they're talking about DC's Snyder Cut.
Yeah. Cracking open Bud Lights and talking
The Flash.
Rent free in our brains. It's been a while since we've all been together. We're actually doing this virtually, so I guess we're not IRL either, but nothing is anymore. Am I right? The Apple Vision Pro. We're inside of the Apple Vision Pro app right now. Just looking at each other. Is that what happens?
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
This episode is about the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie that is sweeping the charts, just released a couple of weeks ago. Fair warning, we're going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, we're getting into it. We're talking about different things that we saw in the movie and some of the things we really enjoyed. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's available on, no, not on streaming, at the theaters. Go to the theaters, watch this movie.
Theater screen. Yeah.
Big, I think, warning for you all. Call ahead. Make sure the audio is good. If you never had to do that before, do it. Call and be like, hey, I want this set to 100.
Hey, your audio good? And that's it.
Pump it.
Can you hear me tell you to make me hear Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Say it like that. That way they get it, you know.
Yeah, they really gets through their heads.
You got to drop hints like that. Keep saying hear and listen and ear, you know. Then they'll know, oh, this guy cares about what he hears.
Well, anyway, that's Emmanuel and I'm Andrew.
What's up? It's John, I guess.
Wait, yeah, okay. Hold on. Can we just pause for a second?
That's Brent.
Like
the last one talking is Brent.
Yes, this is Brent, and I forgot what podcast it is because I'm kind of officially a part of.
I said it at the beginning.
Huh?
It's on the corner of the screen, and I said it at the beginning.
I know, I see it here, but I'm saying I'm fucking here chatting my head off already before I'm being introduced, and I was like, usually I'm still a guest on this one, but I guess I'm not anymore.
No, you're a regular on everything now.
You're a regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're like Miles Morales. You go to any universe you want, even when they tell you can't. That's the first spoiler of the pod, everyone. First spoiler alert. He does it in the movie. We're talking about, thanks, Brent, for being on.
Oh, hey. Thanks for having me.
Me and John are kind of guests too now, actually. So
I guess that's true. We're all guests here. Delphin, you screwed that intro.
It's been a while. Also, you know what? I'm going to release this video on Patreon or something. I think it's nice for all of us to be on the same screen, joshing around, talking about the Snyder Cut a minute in. Brent confused about the pod that he's on. This is good.
Just clean.
Yeah, this is definitely not shaking off.
We like to keep it real here.
We keep it real.
That fake shit. You think we're going to edit this?
No.
Too bad.
We don't have time for that.
I'd have to edit the video too because he's going to release that.
Yeah, it takes too long. I have time, but I just don't want to. We're going to talk about Across the Spider-Verse, our reactions to it. We'll dive deep, and then we're going to play a fun game. And because we're all on the computer, I'm able to share my screen and do a bunch of fun stuff. So I'm excited for our Spider-Man game later on in the app. I know. Look, I look at the analytics. I know most of you fast forward to the game and then turn off the podcast. So I'm not going to tell you when the game is going to happen. Could be.
I was
more
right
worried
about the bandwidth. I thought that's what you meant, like the warning.
We've never
Were you
tried
saying
this.
That they skip through the game and then once they get to the podcast again, then they turn the podcast off?
No. Look, listeners,
Brent,
I'm on to you.
You're calling them out, Brent.
Sisters. What? I'm on to you. You
I don't
said
give a shit.
keys. I see.
I could see that type of shit when you stop.
A lot of people listen to the pod. Look, they listen to the whole thing. They tend to think that the game is the high point. So once the game ends, a lot of them don't come back, even though we tell them they should. But it's fine. You know, it's okay. You listen how you want. You know, live like Miles Morales.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I know. And second spoiler, I'm going to name each of them. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the sequel to the Academy Award winning film Into the Spider-Verse. Is that what it was? Yeah. And the third one is called Beyond the Spider-Verse, set to release later on next year. And there's a spin-off movie. So this is not just a threequel. There's a spin-off called Spider-Woman in development right now. This film is directed by Joaquim Dos Santos, who is like a production designer, I think, from the first Spider-Verse. Kemp Powers, the writer nominated for Soul. Justin K. Thompson. It's written by Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Dave Callahan. Stars Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, a whole lot of other people, actually. And, you know, an amazing voice actor as the villain as well, and Jason Schwartzman. But let's get into it. John, what did you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I loved it. I didn't know how this was going to compare to the first one. The first one kind of set the bar really high, you know, for it being like a really, almost like a very like giant love letter to like all of Spider-Man lore and like, you know, and the art, you know, everything Spider-Man basically. So walking into this movie, the expectations were pretty high, I guess. I was kind of blown away. I mean, it feels like one of those things that like, or one of those movies where like the sequel is just kind of better than the first one. In this case, I'm kind of getting that vibe. Like I'm getting Evil Dead. I was gonna say Aliens, but they're kind of like that's two different type of things. But like Evil Dead, you know, like a Mad Max type of thing, where it kind of just like it executes the vision that was kind of like present in the original, but this kind of it's just like a fuller concept. I got all of that from this movie. This movie had like, you know, tons of emotion and like everything like was just exciting to watch. Audio issues aside, like everything, I think Brent had said before we started recording that he was distracted by the audio. I was more or less distracted by like what was happening on screen. Everything pops so hard that you're just kind of like, you're kind of like not like I did lose like kind of like almost like lines at points because I was like, whoa, like I just like that visual was distracting and my brain had to like catch up to what was actually happening on screen. Yeah, and then like for it to end like with a crazy, I know I'm kind of just jumping around, but like my initial excitement was basically
Just like Miles.
Yeah, just like
jumping around.
He's universe
Third
hopping,
spoiler.
and I'm universe hopping in topics when it comes to this right now. But I guess this is like, you know, my first reactions because I haven't seen it since. It's been a couple of weeks now. I would have liked to have seen it a second time. It's just, you know, time has been kind of, you know, slim. But this
like
movie was
Miles.
pretty great. Just like Miles.
I'm gonna stop.
No, we should all like keep bringing it. We should
Keep
rope it
doing
into it.
Don't
Time
stop
is thin
now.
for Miles.
Yeah.
Time is a construct.
Yeah, exactly. You know, down to, I mean, everything about this was like just great. I mean, yeah, and then like, you know, that crazy like little like punchline, you know, or like cliffhanger that it ends on, you know, just kind of like ropes you back into like it's gonna keep you wanting more, you know. And I can't wait to like watch it again because I'm sure I missed like a ton of stuff. Not just in terms of like Easter eggs, because the entire movie is like I feel like one giant Easter egg, but I'm sure I missed a lot of moments.
Call the bunny.
The what?
Because there's a lot of Easter eggs.
I get it.
The Easter bunny. Call him. Get him on the horn.
Oh,
You don't
like
have
the
those,
Bad
like-
Bunny.
I
You don't have
found
those,
yeah.
the
Call
Bad
Bad Bunny. I found the Easter eggs.
Ooh, Bad Bunny El Muerto. You know that guy who's going to be El Muerto in the Spider-Man universe eventually.
It's true.
Oh man, yeah.
But this this movie is great. I mean, I think the things that I'm really looking forward to seeing again, I guess whenever it's like, you know, on a second rewatch, were like kind of the things like the art style changes when it comes to some characters' moods. Like I think Gwen Stacy has something where like her universe is kind of like watercolorish. So whenever something sad is happening, like I don't know, like the screen will wash blue or pink or something like that. Stuff like that is just like really, really cool. It's really neat. I'm sure I'm doing like a really bad way of explaining it, but just little moments like that, like are what like I kind of want to, you know, I want to absorb more, I guess, on a second rewatch. Great flick though. I mean, probably the most Spider-Man, again, probably takes the title from that first movie as being the most Spider-Man thing of all time. Like it's
For sure.
Spider-Man as fuck. And it's really good. I think it like it's I think you can only tell like these really kooky like multiverse stories in animation. Because like that animation is just insane. It's like it really takes everything about the character, because the character is a cartoon on a page, and just like brings it to life like in spectacular fashion. It's just wild.
Yeah. Jur, what did you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
Hated it. The Flash was better. Brent. I'm just kidding. No.
Damn, what were you
Flash-
gonna say?
The Flash was better than Brent.
Damn.
Damn,
No,
Brent.
yeah. No, I liked it a lot too. I think I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, there's no way they can get lightning to strike twice in the same spot. And then sure enough, they did it
Yeah.
better.
Then you were like Tom Cruise in War of the Worlds, watching that lightning hit
Just hit
100 times the same spot, and you're like, "Damn,
Every scene,
damn,
yes,
get in the
every
house,
scene.
kids!"
Yeah, exactly. Before you turn into powder. Into that
Spoiler
red
alert
weed.
for War of the Worlds. Damn, I am so sorry, people.
I thought it was amazing. I thought the first one was cool because it was kind of like the introduction of just, I think, having another Spider-Man that wasn't Peter Parker. Because it starts with the Miles is Peter getting killed, and then it goes into Peter B. Parker, and so it's a lot of that where it's just more of like one-on-one interaction with a variant, so to speak, and you throw in Gwen Stacy and stuff like that, and you have a pretty cool the other ones, Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker and Peter Porker, all that shit. So it's really, really cool, but it's a lot more one-on-one interaction. Here it's a little bit more of like a crazy like Easter egg hunt, which has a lot of they can do a lot more nods to the history of Spider-Man, and it's more about that anyone could be Spider-Man, because the other ones are different versions of Peter Parker. Spider-Man Noir is still kind of Peter Parker, and Spider-Ham is Peter Porker, and so these other ones like Spider Punk and the Indian Spider-Man and Miles himself, I think is really cool, and it just leans into the fact that anyone could be Spider-Man. So I think it's got an awesome message, and it goes deeper. It's a little bit more story oriented than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more flashier in its action, but it is a part 2. So yeah, no, I can't stop saying Flash. It is a part 2. I think that people forgot that, because I remember hearing the audible kind of dread of like, damn it, we have to wait longer.
Just a year. They got Duned.
Yeah,
They got reloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I did remember that going into it. So when we were like 2 hours in and we were nowhere close to resolving anything, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, of course, it's got to leave us wanting more.
I felt the same thing when spoiler alert. I already said that at the very beginning. But when they arrived to, is it the planet where he is?
Prowler.
Yeah, the Prowler at the very end. I was like, oh man, there's no time.
42, right?
Yeah, I was like, ain't no time.
Oh yeah. I was like, we're not wrapping this up now.
yeah. It's not going to be a clean cutoff break where it's like a time lapse has happened or something like that. No, you're going to pick it up right where you left off. But yeah, so I did like it a lot, and I did like, surprisingly, the villain a little bit more too. In the other one, it's exactly. And the other one is just Kingpin stick ass. But in this one, it's kind of like a crazy multiversal villain that it started off getting hit by a muffin in that first Spider-Verse when a bagel, there you go. An everything bagel, like in Everything Everywhere. Another solid multiverse movie. But it starts with that, and then he turns into this like terrifying ass thing that's like, I'm gonna kill your family, and you can't do anything about it, which is wild. And Jason Schwartzman plays both, because he's played both characters in movies different ways, and so we know that he can be the lovable, dopey, funny guy, but also he can bring out some of that crazy acting skills. That's why Wes Anderson uses it.
We call it Dark Schwartzman.
Schwartz.
Yeah, use the Schwartz. The dark side of the Schwartz. But so I like this one a whole lot more than I thought I did because I like the first one as much as everyone did, sure. But a lot of those, like a lot of that hinges on if you don't know Miles Morales' story. So when you're watching that and you see like, oh my God, Spider-Man's black, like this is awesome. To me, I already knew that he popped in the Ultimate Universe, so it wasn't a big surprise. Or it's like that twist where like my uncle's the Prowler. And if you don't know who Aaron Davis is, then that's more of like a Luke, I am your father type of thing. Like, oh shit, what happens if Uncle Ben was evil type of thing. But I already kind of knew that going in. So a lot of those surprises didn't hit me as hard. And I think that took away from my overall experience to see it like everyone else. But this one, I think, did that, but on steroids for me. Because, it's all the visual style. Like, there's nothing like it. I think animated movies will try to emulate this for decades. There's another movie that's like, oh, the TMNT movie. It kind of looks like it's got a little bit of this thing going on here, and I could see it kind of really influencing a lot of the more zany animated stuff in the future, animated films in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be the staple, I think, from this movie. And I think people will, I mean, it makes a ton of sense in this movie because there are different worlds. You can explore all kinds of animation style. You can be super impressionistic. You can have the generic stuff. And also, like, you can break the fourth wall as many times as you want. It's kind of, no holds barred narratively. Brent, what did you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I loved it. The first one came out what, 4 years ago?
Yes.
I think now 4. Was one of my favorite movies that year. It was just so fresh and exciting and like almost revolutionary in what it looked like and how many kind of boundaries they were pushing in terms of animation and like how they were telling the story and everything. And a bit of me was like, yeah, like I'm curious what the Spider-Verse sequel's gonna be because like God, man, like they did it so well in the first one, but like what this one does, and I think very successfully, is just kind of like blows the whole damn thing up. Like it's so much bigger on just every level than you think it's going to be. And even like on an artistic level, like the choices to have, different characters represented by different art styles, where like even something like Hobby Spider Punk is like animated in threes, which is like a very strange like animation sequencing style to where like it looks off and it's kind of like inherently punk the way that he's actually animated. It's just like there's so much passion and creativity just like bursting out of this movie, and it's incredible to see. It's like I'm really happy that like I don't know, the animation is getting to this place now where it seems like most studios are in some capacity kind of like pivoting into taking like very interesting risks, especially Sony. Is TMNT Sony also?
No, I think it's Paramount.
I don't know.
Okay. I think you're right also. And because I also think of like Mitchell's in the Machines,
Versus
and
the
I
Machines,
think
yeah.
that
That's
was
Sony.
Sony
That's Sony.
Netflix.
Sony.
That is
Yeah,
Sony Animation. Like the same studio from Spider-Verse, I think, is Mitchell's versus the Machines.
That makes sense. And
That's
and
a good
so,
movie too.
I love that movie so much.
You're a regular old Guillermo del Toro, huh, Brent?
Hey man,
Animation is cinema.
It's cinema. I love this movie, man. And it's like not even just like on a visual level, but like I think it's especially near the end, it's really starting to get to say it really gets into saying some interesting things. And like we haven't seen like the full thought yet because it's not an entire story yet. It's, part one, but like, stuff with like the canon and stuff like that. I think that they're really getting into some interesting stuff for like a superhero / comic book movie to get into. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, where it's like Spider-Man, what is it? 2099, Miguel
O'Hara.
O'Hara. Yeah, like he his character's really interesting and his point of view and like what he potentially represents in like terms of like comic book movies and like characters and like breaking out of, your destiny or whatever, or not, and staying in your place and not shaking things up. Like, there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's like, I can't wait to see it again, because just like the first one, where like I think it was the third time I saw it that I was like still catching things and was also like, damn, man, this movie is like, it rewards multiple viewings in a big way, and this one is like tenfold that. Like, there's going to be so many little things I catch on like the fifth viewing. I think it's great.
I think you had nailed that pretty well. How, like you said, that the scope is bigger, but I thought the story was kind of like, especially what you said towards the end, you're kind of reeling it into like a more personal story than the first one was. Because it's, you're right. It is about like a story about like how, how you're fighting fate. If it's like, if roles are predetermined for you, like how do you break out of that? And that's pretty perfect when it comes to like Miles's whole arc, and just like I think the creation of Miles in general too, because
it's complicated.
And so like that's pretty it's pretty great. It's an amazing story. We didn't touch upon the story a whole lot, but like it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder of what, like, the character always wants something, and the hardest way to it's always the character gets what he wants, the character doesn't get what he wants, and then the hardest thing to write is always the character had what he wanted all along, which is the way this movie ends, where he's always away from his parents and then realizes that part of canon means that one of them has to die, and now he's like, oh man, like I need to go back there. And unfortunately, it's a little bit tougher. I was listening to a podcast with Kemp Powers, who directed the movie, and kind of talking about, because it is a part one, the balance between sort of like making sure the audience doesn't feel shortchanged in a movie which has like a to be continued at the very end. And kind of the perfect example for that they looked at was Empire Strikes Back, which is, you leave the character in an incredibly dark place. Luke's hand is gone, and it's kind of like, but it never feels like you didn't get enough story out of that movie. And I feel the same way. It's the longest animated film that an American studio has ever released is this movie, but it was still incredibly, I think, light on its feet and very punchy and quick. And part of it is the animation style, but the story also, and I guess it is a journey. So in that way, they're able to jump around pretty quickly, and it's kind of made with a finish line in sight, but it's still an incredible like feat, I think. And they spent a year in development just on the animation style. And I think what's really cool is there's just so much creativity in this movie and freedom, and sort of this meta commentary on it as part of the movie, which is, Miles trying to break out of even the guidelines that are set for him as like as a person living as a Spider-Man. Even though he finds out it wasn't supposed to be after all. But there's something really free about this movie for them to be able to not just change their animation style, but to kind of have their characters doing things kind of in their own ways and all succeeding and finding what they need. Like the movie starts with Gwen. It doesn't start with Miles, it starts with Gwen. And it kind of frames how you can change your canon a little bit, because through understanding her father and kind of what goes on there, not only do they change the animation style, but she's like, oh shoot, like he doesn't have to die, like he's gonna not be captain anymore. And it's kind of a realization she has, and that's just gonna spread amongst all the spider people that we meet. And so it's a really exciting, kind of almost freeing sort of theme, even though we're not completely done, because we see the Prowler as we see like this other world, which is the polar opposite. But it is a really fun journey no matter what. Okay, we're going to dive into some of the Spider-Man stuff and talk about the villain. But before that, we're going to play a game. It's a very fun game. It's called the Spider-Man game. How many?
Look at that comment.
The most fun game ever played. Like, let's go full on WB marketing. The most fun Spider-Man game you'll ever see.
This is the best Spider-Man game since Batman Dark Knight.
Superman. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, leave Brent. Leave Brent.
Like this is only for people on the video, watching on video. Do you like this or do you like this?
I like Brent. Just in the
Brent.
big.
Just vote me.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
cool. We're
Here
gonna
we
get
go.
Brent's live reaction on just this game. No, we needed to make it big. I'm
That one
gonna
like that,
go
like
this
that,
one. Okay,
like that.
Oh, I
That's
was
one's
going to
good.
do this whole thing.
Brent's
We're
making
gonna
thumbnails
play
right now. Look at that. Look.
the
Come
spider.
back to me. Come back to
We're
me.
we're playing the Spider-Man game, and so for people watching this, you're not going to see the answers because we're going to utilize the chat feature on StreamYard. So behind a little behind the curtain peek at how we're playing this game. I'm going to show you different Spider-Man. And you will have to tell me what the name of that Spider-Man is. And even if you are not a pro, because I'm not of the comic books, you know,
Oh boy.
Drew works at a comic book shop.
Yeah,
It's
who's
cheating,
going to
first
fucking
of all.
win this one?
Brent, there's a couple in there for you, is all I'll say.
Well, very curious. about that.
Succession Spider.
I know, just questions on like Doom.
Asteroid City Spider.
But does anyone have any questions on how this game is played? You're going to see a picture of a spider
First one
person.
in gets it.
Yeah, first one to type in the chat gets the point.
Wait, hold on. Let me adjust my keyboard to where I can actually reach it.
Yeah, let me
Listeners,
Oh,
I
damn.
will be
Damn,
reading
everyone's-
the answers, so it's not just silence and then I give a point. Like if,
Everyone's
you know.
like, let me go into sport 4x4 mode.
I'm just trying to prep.
Put my
John's
Crocs
got his
in
gloves on,
four-wheel
his
drive.
typing gloves, his speed typing gloves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put the straps down on the Crocs.
All right, here we go. Here's the Spider-Man game. At home, you cannot play. I just realized this is a totally visual game.
I love an exclusive.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're also
This
we're gonna
is-
get silent whenever we start typing. So
What
right.
is this Spider-Man? And then just everyone, like the ones at home are like, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't see.
Listening.
Go to patreon.com or YouTube. You'll see it
You're
there and play
playing
it
the
there.
game as Daredevil.
Damn, this is tough. Okay, what I'll do is I will try. No, I'm not going to try to describe.
I love that you got the realization on the air. Like you're like,
It's fine.
oh
Just put this
fuck.
on YouTube.
You're gonna have a better time if you're watching this.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the Spider-Man game. First Spider-Man, easy. He is a villainous type, I guess, in the movie. Drew, I'm going to give you the point because it is Miguel O'Hare, Spider-Man 2099, and Drew just typed in 2099, but I get what he's trying to say.
Oh, geez. Okay, so we can just put
God
like
damn it, yeah.
abbreviation.
Hey,
Hey
Like
Brent,
shoe
it's
now.
fucking prison rules, Brent.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
And I will say, I apologize to everyone listening, which is 90% of the people who are going to be consuming this. Okay, here is the next one. It is a Spider-Man, but he is
What are we looking
careening
at?
through
Oh,
the,
okay.
the air. Brent guessed Spider Ape. Drew guessed Spider
Monkey has to
Monkey.
be it.
And the answer is the amazing Spider Monkey. I'm going to give
mean,
that
that-
to Drew as well.
That's a little on the nose.
What?
That's a
Why I
spider
said it,
monkey.
baby.
Yeah.
It's right there in the damn name. They already.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
There is also, while we're on this, it's too late. I showed everyone the next one. But while we're on this, there are many versions of Spider-Man who is an ape or a monkey because I've read multiple comic books and I was like, that's a different.
That's true. Yeah, the Marvel apes.
Yeah, I
have
was like,
have a
that's
Spider-Man one.
He's
Or
he's
a
not a
gorilla.
spider monkey in this
Yeah.
one. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not going to give anyone a point here because I kind of showed it too early. But it's
But
Jess
to be
Drew
honest,
Spider-Woman.
I had it right.
Wow.
Just true.
Yeah.
So
John had
okay.
it first, though. on
Most
this.
of them will
there's
have to
multiple
wait.
Spider Women. Hold up.
That's why I was like, so we would probably have to put Drew, like the
That's
name of
true.
the movie.
There's
yeah.
only
Yeah.
one Spider-Man 2099.
What did you think of Spider-Woman in this, or Jess Drew? Pretty interesting character.
She was cool. Yeah. I think they need more of her in the next one. She wasn't really in this one much.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the conflict she was facing of like, I'm trying to be the cool parent, but also I
Yeah.
want to keep my job.
Yeah, it's complicated, especially with Gwen and kind of, I guess in a way she is kind of marked
she-
because Gwen turned on everyone.
There's gonna be a really badass moment in the new one where it's like, oh my god, Spider-Man 2099 has them down and out, and then she's gonna come in and be like, not so fast.
Yeah.
She's gonna be the edge that they need.
Thwip.
Is
Yeah.
is her baby and or like the father of the baby a character, like a big character in the comics, or no?
It's a spider. I'm just kidding.
Cool.
An actual.
Okay, here's the next
That
one.
one,
Here we
yeah.
go.
All right.
And see, this is what I'm doing for you listeners. I'm going to pause, and instead of blasting through the game, we're going to talk about the people so that you have a little something for you listeners. What do you think? Is that good?
You were already halfway through this game.
All right.
Okay, here we go. This one's, I think
This
some people
one-
have this as a favorite Spider-Man. He's a little cocky.
I forgot his name.
His hair is always perfect. He doesn't work out because he doesn't want to get too buff. He's hilarious in the movie. Nobody got it right. His name is
Yeah,
Pavitr Prabhakar
Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
for
like
Spider-Man
Peter Parker.
India. I love this. I love the animation in this whole sequence, and I think it's
It's
really
cool.
fun.
Yes.
Who
I think
voiced him? I couldn't place him.
It's the guy who plays Dopinder from Deadpool.
Don't know
Okay,
his
that
name.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
but like,
Yeah.
but yes, this sequence was great. I mean, everything. Yeah, it's an exciting, really exciting sequence.
And his universe
he's really
is gone.
funny. His universe might be gone. Yeah, which is kind of a little sad. But like, he does. He's like the happiest Spider-Man of the entire movie. It almost seems like he's kind of like he's like very excited to be there type of way,
Yeah.
and he's like excited to see the other spider people, which is like really wholesome. When he like, I think one of the lines is like, oh, that's Miles, like he wasn't supposed to come, he's like, and you still came along even though you weren't supposed
Yeah.
What is it?
But,
I
like,
love
that's really cool.
I love the chai tea thing where he's like, chai means tea. He's
Tea,
like, would you
yeah.
say tea? You know?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah,
He's played by
Great character.
Karan Soni, but who is in Deadpool? Okay, here's the next one. Oh, I've just realized we started with the Oscar Isaacs character, but didn't talk about him. Oh well, we'll come back to that. Here's the next one. This one,
Damn, I don't know this one either.
because he's just in it. He's the Cowboy Spider-Man. What is his
Oh yeah,
name?
John did get him. Yeah,
I don't
we
know
just
his
watched
name
it.
though. Fuck.
John got it's Web Slinger.
Yeah,
Huh?
That's his
Yeah,
name.
that's the
Gunslinger.
one with the spider horse. Remember
Okay.
they did like a
Played
good,
by-
the bad, and the ugly sequence.
He doesn't look like this. This is from an like a different thing.
Yeah, he's played by
Oh.
Taron Killam he's got an upside down horse, like this
Upside down
horse
horse,
is
the
upside
horse
down,
spider.
like he's
Oh,
he's
that
like-
was his horse. Okay.
yeah. I
Man,
forgot
I
what the
barely caught
Here's the
that.
next
horse.
one. It is a cat
That's
who is a
damage
spider. Everyone guessed it right except for Brent, who typed in Soider cat.
Yeah,
Spider cat.
Soider. Soider.
Drew got it first. Drew, you
Solder
have
cat.
3. John, you have 1. So it's actually pretty tight. Pretty tight.
Don't lie.
Here's the next one. It is tight.
It's not.
3-1.
Okay.
Damn
This
it.
one's pretty interesting. This is like an
Fuck,
interesting.
John, I had that one.
This is an interesting, fun character because it's
Why did you
Spider-Man
damn
with
John?
a
You should
paper
be
bag.
damning me.
Paper
Oh, I'm
bag on
sorry,
his
Emmanuel.
head.
You're trying to describe it.
It's the bombastic bag man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know much about this character, but I know that he's it was something about the product of the Secret Wars, right? Or
So
something
no,
like that?
I do. One day he's at the Fantastic Four thing, doesn't have a suit. He has to put on all this stuff as a disguise. Like I need something to hide that I'm Spider-Man when he goes out, and that's where that comes from.
Just so
He
you
puts
know,
on the
this
bag, the
this
Fantastic
game
Four suit.
encompasses every single version of Spider-Man. So we're gonna be here all night. That's in
I
the
was about to
movie.
say, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
There was one that was like Insomniac Spider-Man. She's like holding a coffee in it for like 5 seconds. And I was like, should I
Yeah.
include her? It's not fair. I guess.
It's a him. It's a guy. It's the one from the movie,
Oh.
from the game.
That's
Okay.
Spider Bite too.
Here's the next one. This one should be pretty easy. And we have talked about him. Voiced by Daniel Kaluuya.
What the fuck did I type?
Spider
Spider
Bung.
Dung. Spider Dung.
It's Hobie Brown
Hobie.
Spider Punk. Hobie
Yeah,
Brown.
Spider-Punk fucking rules.
That
Drew's
Spider
running
Punk,
away with it. He's got it.
Spider Punk is fucking wild because his animation is different with the back. Like the background is animated one way, and he's animating so differently while that's happening, and it's just like it's hard to explain. It's kind of like how the frame rate switches in fucking Avatar 2, like in the same frame. It's kind of
Yeah.
like something like this, where it's like it's animating so trippy while the
He's-
background is doing something else, and it's just like, whoa. that's
And I think
fucking
we're going to
wild.
spend time in his world in the next one, which will be
Oh,
really,
I
really
hope
fun.
And I sent you guys a spoiler there about
yeah,
the
you
comic.
did. Don't say it on
I'm not gonna say it,
Okay.
but
I will
read
say
the book,
too
okay?
that his character is pretty damn cool because he sees everything pretty quickly. Like he gets it, you know.
He's punk as fuck.
Yeah.
He's punk as fuck.
He's super punk.
Yeah.
Okay, here is a vehicle for every listener. This one's a vehicle.
Yeah, damn it, John
Brent
got it
guessed
right.
Spider truck. John guessed Peter parked car, and it is Peter parked car.
yeah, yep.
Pretty funny.
That's a good
That's
fucking
funny.
joke. I love
good
it.
fun.
So Peter Parked car is exactly for the listeners here. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a Spider-Mobile like looking.
It's a
Peter-
little fucking dune
Spider-Man.
buggy.
Yeah, it's funny.
That was in there, right?
Yeah.
oh
Hey,
shit! This
John-
is
John's got this one too.
fuck. Let me see what's it called.
This is a person that has some mechanical golden legs. I guess
Right,
similar
yeah.
to the Tom Holland Spider-Man in
It's,
Avengers Endgame. Drew guessed Aunt May.
Something. I don't know. I think it's like Shine
Brent
Spider.
guessed
or something like
Spider-Man, Steampunk Spider, Shine Spider. Her name is Lady
that.
Spider.
Lady Spider.
There you
Spider.
go. I bet you. I think she is on May. Isn't she on May?
I think it is
I don't
anime.
know.
It's the steampunk anime, like from that universe. It
I
is
think I got it
anime.
right.
Yeah.
And rack up another point.
All
Oh
right,
shit,
somebody. This one's for Brent.
Brent, you
Now-
got this, baby.
No.
Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna need
Oh
more
my
than
god,
that.
John got it.
Just so everyone can see, this is a character from
Avatar: The Way of Water.
to The Way of Water. I need his full name for this.
How do you? What the fuck is this?
I watched Way of Water recently. They say it like a million times, specifically because
don't
one
know his
character
last
doesn't
name.
call him. Oh, it's fine. John, I'm gonna give it to you.
Miles.
His name is Miles Spider Sakaro.
I was gonna type in Miles, but I didn't.
Miles Morales. Just
Whoa. Miles Morales is the
Damn
second highest grossing
Miles.
spider.
Yeah, and the third grossing is Teller, I guess.
Damn it.
Miles Teller. Wow.
For
Is
Fantastic Four.
Damn
hey,
it,
this
John,
is
you
how
took
James
Brent.
Cameron. This is how James Cameron writes. His dad in Avatar 2 never calls him Spider. Just calls him Miles on purpose.
That's pretty
Okay.
cool. I mean, that's a character. Like, that's some cool shit there.
Yeah.
Shout
All
out
right,
Jimmy
here's the
Cam.
next spider. This one I'm not going to describe for people listening. You got to watch.
I don't
this.
even know what the fuck this is. I mean, I'm
I
assuming
know.
I'll take your word for it. But
That-
like,
that
is
looks
this one
like
built
the
for
most-
you, Emmanuel?
It's a
like
custom.
midlife crisis ass Floridian
Damn.
dad mobile.
this is what Indiana Jones and his dad would ride today, right?
Now
Like, you know,
that
like,
would be
yeah, like,
sick. I want to see an updated Indiana Jones where they're driving these and fighting Nazis because they're still around. That would be awesome. So this is actually, Drew, I'm going to give it to you because it is a spider with an Y. It's a 2022 Can-Am Spider RT,
I did
MSRP $24,699.
That's
Oh, thanks
it.
for
I
putting the
terrible.
I
price
fucking
there.
did it, boys.
That's
Was
an
that
awful
Price is Right rules?
That's an
Drew, you
awful
got
looking
6.
vehicle.
John, you got 3. Yeah, this is probably really dangerous. I do see them in the neighborhood. Get yourself. This
What?
isn't sponsored, but get yourself into a Can-Am Spider RT.
Flip those people off when they're driving by.
Why? They're normally older, and it's
Oh,
a
never
more
mind, don't do it.
stable motorcycle.
I take
I-
that back.
It's a
I walk that
three-wheeler.
back.
Yeah. I don't think this makes a lot of sense what I'm about to say, but it looks like a fucking land jet ski. And I
It's a-
understand that that's a motorcycle, but more than any other motorcycle
A
I've
land
ever
ski?
seen, this is a land jet ski.
It looks
It-
like a trike Segway.
It's got a front of a car. Like, it's got like a weird like.
Again,
nose
real.
of a
everyone
car.
who's listening to this is trying to figure out what you're describing.
It's a wild.
Get to YouTube.
design. We should
Type
have
in
the
spider. Yeah,
podcast should be about this spider. Why didn't this spider show up in the Spider-Verse?
I want to get into
Yeah.
this Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, congrats for winning. You get to take home that picture.
Wow.
Of a
print it
spider.
out.
I Print that baby out.
Take
Clip
home
it, ship
a
it.
spider. 24,669 or something
That's
like
actually pretty expensive. You could buy like a regular
a new
vehicle.
Corolla.
Well, let's talk about this movie a little bit more because we glossed over him in the game. What did y'all think of O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099, played by Oscar Isaac Miguel?
He's got the coolest Spider-Man design. Probably, he's probably got one of the coolest Spider-Man designs like ever.
It's like a
from
ninja a
his-
little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's like some sort of weird cyberpunk Spider-Man who has an addiction to something, so he uses like these spider drug. I don't remember the exact story from the comics,
I forgot about that.
but he like it turns him into like a human, like werewolf type of spider person.
Yeah.
That's why he has fangs,
Spooky.
and that's why he has organic webbing, but he can like crawl on walls with his claws and shit. And
that's where
it's pretty
that's
wild.
where Sam
some-
Raimi got it from with that organic webbing.
yeah, organic webbing. I guess so. Like
Mm.
he's a wild character. I mean, the design of it is pretty cool. In the movie, in the context of who he is for this movie, is pretty cool too. But and then like Oscar Isaac plays him like very, very well. I'm gonna let someone else go on their thoughts before we just add to it. But I mean, the design of like to me, Spider-Man 2099 is a character you kind of always like. If you know Spider-Man, you kind of know that character because that design is just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah.
yeah. LA Knight. Yeah, and so I too thought Miguel O'Hara was awesome. I think it's kind of weird because you don't get this type of hint at the after credits of the first one. When he's introduced, you don't think it's gonna go this way. He gets
Three different
he
characters almost. Yeah.
yeah, he's like a part of that meme when they're all pointing at each other and it's funny. But I didn't think he was going to be like essentially another antagonist like the Spot was. In fact, he's probably in there more than the Spot's. The Spot's in there for one comedic bit,
Yeah.
and then he gets real scary, and that's it.
Yeah,
But
Spot kind of
Miguel,
disappears and Miguel takes over there for a little bit.
yeah, and so I can't wait to see like what if there is an interaction between Miguel and the Spot. I think that would be really cool. Or is if he's the one who's going to ultimately have to change and sacrifice himself for the family. He has a family and he doesn't see it. Does that make sense? Like he's chasing after this family, but he's literally has a spider family that he's not paying attention to, which
He
I
needs
think
to
is
he needs to watch some
neglecting.
he needs to watch some Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, but when also I loved his theme. You know how when the Prowler comes out, there's always that specific theme.
Mhm.
Well, 2099 has another like synth tone every time he
Mhm.
pops up,
Yeah.
and it's based off of Spider-Man Unlimited, which was another animated series that came out back when the 90s Spider-Man was coming out. And so I remember hearing that in the theater and just kind of geeking out, and then going home and watching people like, oh, these are the references you missed, or these are the, oh my god. You go after like all of Twitter and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, these are the Easter eggs you missed and
Well,
stuff.
we
And
really are not going to talk about all of them. It's impossible.
yeah, there's like what is it, 290 I think are in this one or something
Let's
like
get
that.
into it. Third hour starts now.
I mean, there's a brutish like a big spider woman like that looks like it's part of Mad Max that shoots like
Yeah.
a bazooka. I think at at Miles at one point. You get Spider-Man, the Japanese one.
T-Rex?
From back in the day. Yeah, the T-Rex Spider-Man. You get Spectacular, the Return of the King. You get I met Donald Glover as Prowler from the MCU, which I think is wild. You get to see Andrew Garfield. You see Tobey Maguire. You see Dennis Leary dying. Everything that you want. But yeah, Miguel O'Hara. It's very interesting.
Dennis
the
Leary
type of
dying is a
Wow.
is a high point.
yeah. In Rescue Me, spoiler alert.
Yeah, they
after
just
Rescue
showed
Me.
the ending of Rescue Me. And then,
Wait, he dies
Why
in
is
the
this
show?
in
I'm not
here?
going to watch it anymore.
I'm unsure. I think
I
I got
don't-
that
I have
confused
no
with Sons
idea.
of Anarchy, but I just assume.
Drew glossed over Mrs. Chen from the Venom verse. Just the disrespect.
I didn't
for
gloss over it.
Venom.
Brent did. I
Oh,
knew
yeah.
where it was from.
I
That's
didn't
true.
even
Brent was
see
like,
the
it's just a
movies,
regular.
so I didn't. I was like, why are they focusing so much on this lady? That's
I kind of liked
weird.
it. She's unfazed by it, and I was like, this is funny.
They're like,
I
we
mean,
can't
it's
get
fun-
Tom
it's
Hardy,
funny.
get this other girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's very interesting the position they put 2099 in, where it's like, hey, technically you're the one that's furthest in the future, so you're gonna lead this task force of a multiverse of spider people. It is kind of odd because I didn't see it going that way. I expected to see more of his universe, like from the comics. If it's very much like a Blade Runner type of crazy ass futuristic tech city rather than some utopia that he's trying to get to or whatever. So it's kind of like Spider-Man Noir in the first one, where I thought I love the Spider-Man Noir comics. It gets so dark. They have the Noir X-Men back in the day and all that stuff. They go over. There's a whole Noir universe, and they kind of water him down for comedic value because it's also Nicolas Cage and stuff like that. And so I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go further, or they didn't, actually stay true to the characters. And so that's the kind of route they're taking with 2099, unless we bump into a whole lot more of his story in the next one. So it's interesting to see on where his character will fall in the end. But yeah, I was a big fan. And then go Oscar Isaac. I love anything Oscar Isaac's in. I'll check out.
I was gonna say Nicolas Cage is having a busy weekend cameoing in.
Whoa!
Oh, wait,
whoa.
shit! Whoa! Never
In
mind.
multiverse movies.
Sorry. Shit.
No,
It's all right. This
yeah.
is a better movie.
I think, yeah, Oscar Isaac is one of my favorite actors, one of the best actors I think working right now, and like
Dune.
seeing Dune, Leto Atreides, seeing him pop
Leto.
up in this as such a cool character and like complicated character. I really didn't expect, because I don't have a ton of familiarity with the Spider-Man comics. Like the most I ever got into like non-Spider-Man movie stuff was the 90s show. Like I loved and watched all of that, but like yeah, I think he was
what?
excellent.
The 90s show?
Yeah, the animated show.
one.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 90s show on Netflix. The new show,
Yeah,
the
hell yeah.
spin-off
That-
of the 70s
yeah.
show. I was like,
That
wait,
freaking-
what?
Is that X-Men? Did I just do X-Men? or
No,
was that-
you did Spider-Man.
kidding.
Aerosmith's like guitarist or something. Like played.
He's in the
like-
movie, right?
Yeah. Aerosmith?
No,
No.
not Aerosmith.
The 90s Spider-Man.
The
Yeah,
90s
he's in there.
Spider-Man.
Oh, probably.
Now we're just
I think so.
confused. Now we're just like going around.
That
in
were like
circles.
the Spider-Man, like pointing at everybody,
I
like
know.
this one, which one, this one.
Yeah, I also yeah, I mean, just an overwhelming amount of information and stimuli from just all of the different Spider-Men, and like, yeah, Donald Glover popping up in live action was so wild and is such a like, that's not at all how I expected to see him show up again. But also they had other MCU mentions, like they mentioned Doctor Strange and Spider-Man from Earth, whatever the MCU number is. So like, yeah, I that's something I didn't 100% expect to have this fully be. I mean, it's essentially an MCU movie, but like in the sense that every movie that exists is in the MCU. So like and is some universe,
And
just because that's how multiverses
and
work.
it's important because they are currently casting a live action Miles Morales. So it does like what we're
Ooh.
seeing now is not like a hidden sort of
I mean,
multiverse plan thing. Like it's all
I
happening.
feel like they could probably cast the voice actor. I don't know.
Maybe
That's
he
what
said
he
he was
has said.
getting fit.
He said he's
He's
trying to
still
get
pretty
fit
young.
for it.
Yeah, he's trying to get fit. And there's time jumps too. That's possible. There's a time jump from the first one to this one. So who
Mm.
knows? Let's get
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman. I want to
On
see
the-
Logan.
Super
this
old
up.
Miles Morales.
Yeah.
On the subject of
Yeah.
that, oh, sorry, go on, Brent.
No, I was gonna say that.
Oh, I was thinking like on the subject of that, these two, the main two leads in this story, I think like Haley Steinfeld as Gwen and
Yeah.
Shamik Moore, right, as Miles, like they were
Shamik Moore,
great.
yeah.
They're
Oh,
They're like
awesome.
they
I
grew
think-
into their roles like perfectly, and
Yeah.
especially like I think Steinfeld's was like a really cool performance there, like she's like the actual like the tragic Spider-Man figure like for most of the movie, in my opinion, until she gets her kind of like her moment at the very end, like where
Mhm.
that she's going to take to help Miles. Yeah, great performance from both of them. They're across the board, and the characters are used quite nicely in the movie. So like it's pretty awesome.
You
This
didn't
is
like
kind of-
Daddy Spider-Man, Jake? What's his name? Jake was it
Johnson.
Johnson, yeah. Peter B.
With-
Parker.
with Mayday
Kinda-
Parker?
Honestly, he's kind of a bitch in this movie. I'm just kidding. No, but he is. Like he kind
he's
of
not in
cedes
this
it
one
to
much.
O'Hara. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
doesn't. Yeah,
He'll be in the next one a bunch, I bet.
I
He's
do
not
like
that
his.
yeah.
He's not that. Yeah, you're right. He's not that important for the sake, but I do like the fact that he's kind of like this.
The
Because
snitch?
everyone there is kind of don't know what to do. They're like, should I
Yeah.
follow this? They're like, yeah, dude, but like we're on your side, but can you see it our way or something? And then it's just like
Yeah.
it's so. That's probably an unbelievable part of this because like most Spider-Men, I feel like hate the tragedies they went through. Like all Spider-Men do, I feel like, or like
It's
a
a
good amount
weird-
of them.
It's a weird
Yeah.
idea to have this
But-
predestination of like someone's got to die, and so
Yeah,
you just gotta
but-
be
Yeah.
cool with it.
But if his thing didn't die, then his daughter that's strapped to his chest wouldn't be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
And
so
it-
that's like, damn, it's like this thing that'll get him over. And you can tell he was probably supposed to be like the OG Spider Punk and fight the system. But now they actually have Spider Punk in here. So they're like, no, you got to be safer.
Mhm. It kind of also gets more complicated because Miles isn't even supposed to have the power,
Mhm,
or quote unquote. So O'Hara might even look at him differently than any other Spider-Man because he's like, well, you weren't even supposed to get bit. It was kind of an accident that you even, are here. And they are keeping him kind of arm's distance from their kind of utopia. They're not giving him the bracelet and kind of
yeah.
so it's kind of interesting in that way because I feel like it just makes things more complicated. And also Miles he's already in like autonomy mode. Like he's already free because he can do
Shouldn't
whatever
be
he
there
wants
in the first place.
Yeah, he's like, and it could be a bad, but it's also could be like the thing that breaks this weird cycle of everyone having to go through the same thing, every
Yeah.
time. But we'll see. I guess he's about to meet himself in the world without.
Yeah, I mean, it puts out a lot of interesting ideas that I'm really curious to see how it resolves them. Because like, I don't know. It's like, what do you do with like, I don't know. It's like, do you go against the canon and like erase a whole bunch of people's like tragedies and a whole bunch of people don't become Spider-Man? Or like, I'm very curious to see where it ultimately falls on like,
well, that's
what is right and wrong.
I think that's why it ends where it ends because his assumption is I just need to save my parents. That's it. Like I need to do that. And he's in a world where because of Spider-Man not existing, it's who knows what happens. Could be chaotic. He is the Prowler in this world. So I think the idea that that's going to be replicated everywhere if the canon isn't followed makes the third movie more complicated. It's not like he's going to be there and just escape and go home. He's going to wrestle with like the fact that, well, maybe these sacrifices need to happen. Like, and maybe it's selfish of me not. I mean, I don't know. Like it's fun because in the writing, they're a step ahead of everyone, even though audiences are more savvy than ever before. And they full on address the things that everybody knows from Spider-Man in this movie. They know about Ben. We've seen the first, like the stuff you know about Spider-Man. They're like, cool. Like we know you know that. We're gonna straight up show you some of those scenes in the movie, but it's about kind of doing more with that narrative, which is great because Miles is perfect because Miles is also young. He's in that stage where you're kind of not sure what you to tell your parents and what not to. We glossed over Rio or his mom and his dad, but Rio, his mom, it kind of has more of kind of the heartfelt moments in this movie. And Brent, calm down. But also it's perfect because he's of the stage where he doesn't even know where he belongs in his own family, and he doesn't know where he belongs in the Spider-Verse. And it's great because it's kind of all bundled up into one thing.
I think it's pretty. Oh, go for it. Drew.
Well, it's very odd because like Gwen has the answer. It seems like she has found it, where she's like, just get your dad to quit, or just like let's get him fired.
Loophole.
Like, damn, we gotta embarrass his ass to the point where he gets fired. Like, what if he goes into there and he reveals himself as Miles Morales to the world, and they're like, damn, that's your son. You're fucking fired, and then boom, that's it.
How'd you miss that? Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting because, and then it can go any other which way because. Miles has a 2099 suit of his own. I don't know if you guys have played Insomniac's Spider-Man game, but what if there was a Spider-Man that's like an Ultimate Spider-Man like Miles in the future that figured that shit out?
That's what I was about to say. I think the whole movie we spend some time with non-Parker variants, but for the whole movie, we're kind of going through the Peter Parker storyline of Spider-Man and stuff. And I think it's pretty kind of cool, like from a thematic sense, that we end up with Miles facing an alternate version of himself, because he was basically being told that like all these Spider-Man, like he's not the real Spider-Man stuff. But if we're talking about the true multiverse, like there are ultimates, there are there are Miles variants who have become Spider-Man because that's how the multiverse works. So I think it's really cool to show that, because most of the people who are chasing him are like a Parker variation, And so at the very end we meet another Miles variant. And so like the third movie will basically be about him facing himself in the like what he feels about like probably like just a very internal struggle, but done like obviously like facing maybe like Miles variants or something as opposed to Parker variants.
Plus we have Ultimate Spot. Like Spot is I guess on paper the quote unquote villain, and he's got power, like kind of a really, really dangerous amount of it.
He is such a fucking cool villain for an animated movie of this caliber, where like they're just going fucking all out in terms of like what they're doing animation wise. And like God, dude, every scene with him is so inventive and cool and looks so like creepy and interesting. And like the way that he's just like popping in and out of like the joke about like popping in and out of like holes, like he keeps finding holes or whatever.
And it starts off so funny, which I think is perfect for the tone of the movie. He's kind of an idiot, to start off.
He's trying to steal like a ATM and like fucks that up, and then
and the fact that he is part of, he's created by Miles, so there that connect, and he's now the biggest threat in all of the multiverse.
So he goes from kicking his own butt in a comedic sequence to being drawn as if it's from the fucking Ring, like just a bunch of circles everywhere. He's terrifying by the end of it.
It's pretty intense,
there's a lot to look forward to in the next one. Honestly, it would be a waste of time even to like speculate, because I feel like it's gonna be really good. Like I know it's kind of, I know we've talked about how much this movie kind of defied some of our expectations, but I'm like not worried about being too hyped for the third Spider-Verse. I think it's gonna be pretty okay. Like I don't think it's gonna do any less than this. There's also like, we're talking about the animation and stuff. This is hard work, and they spent a whole year working on they call it like Viz Dev or something like that, just working on the look of this movie. So it's a testament to letting your writers and filmmakers and artists take time and work on something. And this movie costs less than some of the other stuff that's coming out. So it's kind of like give people time and don't force things
Right,
to
and pay them.
existence. And pay them. Yeah, pay them handsomely. Well, anything that you think we've missed that you want to talk about before we go around? All right, let's talk about our final thoughts on Spider-Verse. I'm just kidding.
That sounded like a live edit point, like immediately. Like it was just
I
like,
know.
oh, what?
I was like, wait, did I have a stroke? What's happening?
Well, I guess we'll talk about what we're looking forward to in the next one. It is coming out. So Beyond the Spider-Verse, which there's kind of a hint even in that title to its own, but Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse will release March 29th of 2024. And again, there's another movie that's a spinoff, but so it's not really even a year-long wait for us to have the conclusion to this movie.
Maybe.
But John, what are you looking forward to, or any of your final thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
It's kind of overwhelming to think on what we missed, because we probably missed a lot. Like when we're about talking about this movie. But it's been a while.
You want to do another hour?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go for it. I think other than like Guardians 3, I guess so. I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of superhero stuff though. But like Guardians 3 was the last time I felt like I was like, oh, cool. Like the genre, or like the superhero movies, like they still have it. If you make them really well made, and you can have some really good emotional moments with some really exciting sequences. This shit took that to the extreme. Like this is probably the best superhero movie like the entire year, I would assume. I don't think anything superhero wise is going to match this the entire year, because this movie is just so much fun to watch. Like it hits hard, it hits you in the feels. It's like exciting to just look at. You can probably like not have any interest in Spider-Man and watch this one and Across the Spider, or Into the Spider-Verse, and then have a totally good time. This movie is great. I mean, I loved it. It's I can't wait to see it again. I almost kind of want to do a part 2 to this, maybe like a little or a follow-up thing in the future, just because I know there's more to it that I want to say about this flick. Yeah, especially with the new, it's the year of Spider-Man. The new Spider-Man 2 video game that's coming out later this year. Craven,
it looks so good.
A trailer that just hit, that looks terrible, but will probably be big too.
Damn it, John! I was gonna mention Craven.
It's the year.
I just found a nest of spiders above my door.
A nest of spiders. Yeah, dude, it's the year of the fucking spiders. Tarantulas are back in Texas, or apparently, or something.
Hell
if they left,
I've been releasing them.
Yeah, that's wild.
Nice.
Yeah,
my spider farm.
And I'm gonna buy a spider. MSRP $24,699.
Hell yeah!
Duffin Pod's all about Spider-Mania right now, and I think it starts with this movie.
You're gonna see us on the streets, 4 guys, 3, 6, 12 wheels.
One.
Let's see.
One web.
12 wheels, 10 balls.
One cup.
Drew, what are your final thoughts on this movie?
Image you just put out there.
I know. It's medical records. Look it up.
I thought this movie was amazing, and I expect the next one to just get too woke and then just ruin this whole franchise, ruin the previous 2 that struck gold.
Our
didn't
listener
like
count
it.
Our viewer count just went up.
I can already tell you that those liberals are getting. No, I expect, just because of how good these 2 were, I imagine that this other one can't fail, and it's pretty crazy because now it's setting the bar real high.
Yeah, we're in Lord of the Rings territory at this point.
For sure.
The third movie is going to be good too. That's wild.
Drew said Return of the King earlier.
Yeah, I did say that. And so it makes me kind of nervous because that's been a lot of the issue with a lot of the modern I know they've been a little bit more subpar than what we're used to, the superhero movies, the comic book movies, whatever you want to call them. But a lot of the reason that people aren't satisfied with them is because their expectations. Everyone wants Thanos to come in and the 40 other characters and stuff like that. So when Shazam Fury of the Gods is only Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, then people are like, what the fuck is this shit? And then the Flash just screwing the pooch. Like, you can't even use Michael Keaton to sell this goddamn movie. I think a lot of that expectation is just too high. So it does get me scared about this third one. But with the way the data is coming in, it looks pretty okay for this next third one. And
it's done better than the first one, which is already a great sign.
It's the highest rated movie on Letterboxd right now. I'm sure the next one will beat that, and it'll hopefully it sticks the landing, because I am truly and I'm not even a big Spider-Man fan, but I am truly rooting for this specific franchise because it's the only thing that gives me hope that Sony knows what the fuck they're doing with their Spider-Man verse.
with their IP.
Because that Craven movie looks fucking dumb.
Okay.
The fact that he gets bit by a radioactive lion or some shit.
It's not.
And, yeah, I know.
I'm Craven the
it's even-
Hunter.
it's even
this
worse.
is what my voice sounds like.
Lion blood leaks into one of his cuts, and he's like, "Suddenly, I'm attuned to all animals because he was
Yeah.
the king of the animals in Africa."
This is going to lead to so many people putting lion blood in their blood. It's going to be really dangerous.
Do you remember
out there.
Tiger's Blood
Yeah,
with
for
Charlie
sure.
Sheen? But it's coming
It's gonna
back
be Sheen
around.
all over again.
But yeah. So that it's surprising because again, their live action stuff is such trash. But hey, if they want to keep making bangers like this, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
The fact that we're
Right.
getting this type of caliber of Spider-Man story almost 60 plus years later is wild.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
peaking. We're peaking.
we're peaking currently. Yeah, I can't wait to see the third one. I think like, oh man, yeah. I mean, this one really. It's weird because like I knew I was gonna like this movie. I was pretty confident that like it was gonna be good, but like I kind of hadn't thought about it much until like I sat down and like was watching it and was just like, oh right, holy shit, these movies are like really, really special and great and kind of important in terms of like Guillermo del Toro says, pushing, the importance of animation.
Brent, do your
as a
Guillermo del
medium.
Toro voice.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I can't wait to see what wild new techniques and stuff like that they're doing in the third one, and also what's going on with the story. Like they've set up some really, really cool, interesting stuff here. And I almost expect them to do like more MCU crossover stuff just because the MCU is the biggest thing in the world. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious if like they get pulled into that. But I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
I'll do the voice. When you're talking about cinema and
Oh,
you
that's
don't
good.
quite know when to look at the animation as
Yeah.
the
You need to say
I'm just kidding.
cinematically like 10 times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know where that sentence was going,
It's
but he
pretty
does. He just connects all of his words. Like there's no pause. It's
Yeah.
like Barack Obama, where you're just like there's no empty space.
Now you got to sing Ciao Papa. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I really enjoy this movie. The amount of creativity in it. I'm not going to be, we're going to be talking about this movie in the fall, come Oscar season, because just the sheer amount of not just creativity, but craft on display is very, as Del Toro says, cinematic. And also the story is emotional. I don't think there's been, I'll say this. I care more about Miles Morales than I have some live action Peter Parkers. And
I think all Peter Parkers at this
maybe
point.
all, yeah. Like Miles
Yeah.
is an incredible character to follow. His family dynamic, his struggle, kind of. I mean, it's the classic Spider-Man thing of work-life balance, but it is like a driving force in this, so much so that he travels across the multiverse to find some sense of belonging, and then realize that he had it back home. I am curious because it seems like we know what he needs to do. And there's a whole maybe 2-hour movie coming, in March. So I can't imagine what that means apart from, of course, saving the multiverse. But yeah, an incredible movie. So much imagination in this. And honestly, one of the better things I think to come out this whole year. Exciting stuff. We'll be talking more about it come fall. And then, of course, spring next year, I'm sure. Let us know what you think about Across the Spider-Verse somewhere. On social media. Okay. Yeah. Let us know by screaming into your phones.
How thick
the
you
street.
think Spider-Man 2099 is? They made him hot for no reason. They know people like vampires, and they really did it. They really Twilighted his ass.
I mean, they made him look like Oscar Isaac.
He looked like Oscar
He's
Isaac.
Like a
thick as
sharper
fuck.
Oscar Isaac.
He's
Well,
the
isn't the
thickest Spider-Man
character
we bumped
also
into.
like very close to Oscar Isaac?
What?
I don't know. I don't know what he looks like outside of the movie.
He looks kind of like a werewolf.
Well, I'm saying like the actual we've come to the end of this pod.
The made-up character, Dolphin. Not real.
It's a documentary on O'Hara. You gotta look at it. John, what do you have to plug?
Actually, I don't know. We haven't done this in a while. I guess stay tuned to more Countdown to Infinity and more Delphin Pod stuff, I want to say like go listen to Revenge of the Sequel past seasons. I know we're about to reboot that probably in the fall. Actually, more likely that's going to happen. But we do have some really cool stuff in the past. On past seasons, there's probably a couple of Spider-Man movies in there since we've been around for like a long time.
And
I
on
just
here,
can't tell you.
Countdown to Infinity.
Oh yeah, that's true. Shit. Well, just go listen to anything that our voices are on and click the like, hit subscribe. No, just wait. All right, I'm done.
Drew.
There was
Okay.
a joke there.
I was waiting for my cue there. Yeah. What John said. I'm pretty sure me and Brent still have to do the Jedi Survivor, Jedi
Yeah.
Fallen Order app
And
before Ahsoka starts in August.
You
Yeah,
and
me
John
too.
have gypped the listeners of a full Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 episodes.
Why did you? What? Oh,
Damn. I'm just saying. We never did one, did we?
I've never seen
I
Guardians
thought
of
you
the
did
Galaxy.
one with Brent.
I did one with Brent, but we didn't do a full
Damn,
one.
you're like, but that doesn't count.
Damn.
Okay, well, I mean,
It's much too late, John.
we can do it for the Bluray release,
hey,
or like
Let's
for
start
the
it now.
Disney
Let's
Plus
start.
release.
Let's start it up right now.
The
did Ant-Man-
Blu-ray release.
I was like,
What
you
did you guys think of
Quantumania.
Guardians?
You did Ant-Man Quantumania for 6 weeks. We got this. We can do Guardians. we
It's
can do
6
Guardians.
individual episodes on Quantumania.
But yeah, so check out the Countdown Strikes Back because that's gonna start up real soon, and everyone's all this Marvel hype. Spider-Man's all the rage, but as soon as Ahsoka comes back,
Okra.
with the World Between
Ahsoka?
Worlds,
Okay, she back.
and then the Rebels crew is back. You're gonna get so much Star Wars nerds
Yeah.
crying their ass off.
Oh, and if
Um,
you like
gonna be fun.
inventive animation in different styles, Star Wars Visions kind of prepped us for a
Visions,
little
yeah.
bit of this.
That
Oh, yeah.
I love that episode. We were real long with every single one at the beginning, and then we shortened up every single one at the end.
I listened to that podcast. Good stuff. Okay. Perfect stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a visual game.
Extended out.
medium.
to-
Extended
yeah.
out. Yeah.
But yeah, go check that stuff out. Like the rest of the Countdown to Infinity and the Revenge of the Sequel, and also the Dirt Sheet Radio. My boy John Escudero is no longer with us in Texas.
Oh,
And he's moved to
Oh,
San
no.
Francisco. So
and they're on
um,
TMZ now. Like they're on TMZ.
They're on TMZ like regularly, almost.
Regularly.
and so
They got the big
um,
cups.
They
Yeah.
have big cups. They're buff and they're wearing a black polo.
So if
Let's
you
see,
love
what else do I
professional
know about
wrestling,
TMZ?
go check them out. Yeah, exciting.
Brent, what do you have to plug?
Yeah, just check out the Delphin Pod Patreon. Got a lot of cool stuff there. Screen Slush, where we're talking new movies, new shows. A lot of video games. I've been gaming a lot. Been talking about gaming a lot. Yeah, and we're gonna talk Ahsoka on Countdown Strikes Back, and Rio Morales. Give me a call. That's it.
Go to youtube.com if you want to watch the
Hey,
video.
after
'cause
your
we-
husband's dead, Miss
Oh,
Morales,
my gosh.
Oh,
hit me up.
Inappropriate.
I sweep in, pick
Brent,
up the pieces.
here's what I'll
you know saying?
say. I won't publicly say anything until the third one comes out because I don't want to say this and then feel
Worse. Sounds
Oh
extreme.
no.
you just don't know what's going to happen in the third one, you know? So you may be macking on someone who's passed away or someone who's
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
you know,
Well,
totally. True.
recently
Yeah.
widowed.
well, I mean, it's a fictional character. I mean, but sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see, I guess. We'll see.
Thanks for listening to this pod. Bye.